What's the ugliest thing you've ever heard an attractive person say? When I worked security at a bar, we were collecting covers and this girl came in and said, "I don't pay covers." Look at me. Seriously, look at me and look at you. You should be glad I am here. A tech on the teen crisis floor of a psychiatric ward. I worked there as the education director for a year. Was talking to a nurse about a teenage boy who had been admitted for trying to kill himself because he was gay and being bullied. The tech, whose job is to keep the kids safe and help them cope emotionally in time of crisis, said if he were my kid I'd just beat the queer out of him. He was talking loudly and the boy's bedroom was very close. I reported him the next morning. He still had a job. Not even sure if he got in trouble. One time, a girl in middle school called me over to her table at lunch. She was a girl I've had a crush on for some time. Excitedly, I stood up wearing a genuine smile and followed her call. I stood next to where she was sitting. We looked at each other for a few seconds as my heart raced. It's called proactive. Use it. I'd like to say that I'm doing better than her now, but I'm simply not. Life is still. Edit. A bunch of super kind replies have made my night better. Thank you so much. At my old work I overheard this really sweet looking girl say OMG she needs to get over herself, it's only her dad that died. I gave her the coldest stare and the look of shame on her face when she saw me was satisfying to say the least. If her son turned out gay she would her husband in front of him to turn him straight. Nothing would turn me gay faster than watching my mum having sex. This one dude who gave me his number before I went in for treatment for my eating disorder at 88 lbs. When I got out I was 137 pounds at 5 feet 5. I went out one day with some friends and got a text from the dude that said, "Hey, I saw you in North Hills. I didn't recognize you with all that fat on your body. What happened? You used to be so beautiful." A grocery store to a handicapped grocery sacker. EWW. Don't touch my food. I eat these tomatoes. I don't want to be Ed tomorrow. I don't think they can fix that overnight. My mother-in-law. PTSD is fake. It's just a word that gives men an excuse to beat on their wives. She also thinks if you are pale-skinned then you are a pedo. She calls them the underbaked. Several years ago I was in a drugstore checkout line behind two people. The first was an obviously homeless man who was counting out change to buy some food drinks. Right behind him was this super hot blonde woman. Dressed up. Full makeup. The works. The entire time in line, all of 3 minutes probably, she kept making very loud nasty remarks. "Something smells awful, what is taking so long?" and giving this poor homeless guy dirty looks. The poor guy was just trying to get something to eat and the last thing he needed was her rotten attitude. I was young and didn't have the nerve to speak up. It bothers me to this day that I didn't say anything or step in front of her to pay for whatever he wanted. If that happened today I'd loudly tell her, "Well, at least he's not a raving bitch." Younger. Socially awkward. Heavier-set girl gets the same prom dress as a popular older girl. Older girl bullies her into taking it back and states, "I mean, I look better in it anyways. It doesn't matter what it is or where I got it. You can't afford it anyway." Said by an acquaintance to an elderly lady who asked her what perfume was she wearing and where did she buy it because she smelled so nice. Such ugliness. A very pretty girl that lived on my dorm floor in college said of another average looking girl in the dorm, "I can't stand her. She acts like she thinks she's pretty." That average looking girl was an awesome person, very genuine and smart. It made me furious and really sad to think someone thought she wasn't allowed to have self-confidence without being pretty. My best friend had just gotten engaged and we were at a New Year's celebration with like 20 other friends. One of my guy friends had started dating a new girl and we were all excited to meet her. He introduces her to us and we were talking about how other friend had gotten engaged. A new girlfriend asks to see the ring. My friend holds out her hand and immediately this girl says, "Oh my god." It's so small. We were all dumbstruck. My friend is a simple girl and would never have wanted a big showy ring. It's just not her. My guy friend just got engaged to this girl who I've always gotten along with and like a lot actually. But I will never forget that comment. First impressions really do stick. Edit. Was on a date with a girl and she made a remark about how homeless people were scum trash. At the time she was technically homeless. Went on a date. This guy was way the out of my league and I knew it. But he wanted to meet up, so I went for it. I ended up talking about something I'm passionate about, and we had been getting along great up to this point. He looks at me and says, "You know, you're super annoying when you're excited. Maybe if you were less happy I'd be into this." Oh. That crushed the out of me and it didn't even happen to me. Overheard a conversation with a couple of co-workers once. Attractive Jane. My boyfriend broke up with me. Joe. Or. That sucks. Why did he break up with you? Attractive Jane. He thought I was cheating on him. Beat Joe. Were you cheating on him? Attractive Jane. Yes. But he didn't have any proof. Me. I knew a semi-attractive girl who made fun of a girl for having cancer. Bragging about getting a girl he was hooking up with that he knew was really into him to do stuff for him. Like his dishes. Coming to pick him up after getting drunk at the bars. Bringing him stuff when he was sick. Went on to talk about how he only hooked up with ugly girls because they would do stuff like that. My sister is one of the popular girls in high school and beauty and popularity are the primary focus of her social group. She and her friends refer to unpopular or less attractive people as irrelevants. When I went to high school, that would have got you punched. I had a pretty woman in my department tell me right to my face that she's going sleep with my husband during a Christmas party. I laughed it off and told her good luck. I went to another room to play poker. My husband was in another room playing pool. She tried everything from flirting to playfully try to take his cowboy hat. He keep on denying her advances. When she wrapped her arms around him while was about ready to take his shot on the table and whispered that she can give me one hell of an unforgettable BJ in a bedroom upstairs. He stood up and told her, "You might be pretty on the outside but you are one ugly old on the inside," and left the room. He found me and told me he was feeling ill. He didn't tell me until we got back to our house on what happened at that pool room. I was really proud of him and after that she made my life miserable at work. My mother. She's beautiful. I'll give her that. But she's a disgusting person on the inside. You know. If you went to Japan you'd probably pass as one of them. Asterisk. If you went to a psych ward, you'd be ARPed and would come out actually psycho. You know nobody's ever going to love you with those teeth. Right? About a 4-year-old to my sister. He looks poor with that jacket on. Is that how you want to look as a mother? And about my long distance boyfriend in college. He looks poor and probably doesn't even have a job. You know. And his teeth are crooked as hell. At least he has that British accent going for him. Dude, what was her thing with teeth? Girl in my high school said anyone over 200 pounds should kill themselves. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is such an awesome guy though. I don't need to be nice. I'm beautiful and people will do anything for me. Ugh. The sad truth is that she's correct. If people stopped treating people based on their looks, there would be fewer entitled arseholes out there. Edit. Sorry folks. She's now mid-50s and recently told me how hot she is as she still has guys in their 20s 30s telling her directly that she's beautiful. Some people have all the luck. A good thing is she and her equally looks obsessed partner are too old to have kids so they won't contribute another narcissist to society. Edit 2. It's going to be more sad for her when her looks don't get her by anymore. She'll be a lonely bitter with nothing to offer. When anything good happened to any other woman. I had a roommate who would whine but she's not even pretty. New boyfriend? But she's not even pretty. Someone got the job she wanted? But she's barely an 8. Edit. Is 8 bad on that scale? In a Zool encounter. She looked back and said, "You dirty bird," and I was never softer in my life. If my child turned out to have depression, I'd kick them out. Worst thing is that this girl wants a lot of kids. As someone in the field of mental health, I just died a little. A Playboy model named Danny Mather Snapchatted a photo of an elderly and obese naked woman in her gym locker room to her followers. Her justification was that it was meant to be posted privately to her friends. That was her defense. I'm pretty so I don't have to. Yo. But you said bitch though? There was a girl that went to advanced German classes with, and she stormed into the classroom screaming "Ew." I was in the gym making some gains and there was this very attractive woman working out. You know, the one that you keep looking at cause she's so hot. Well, I walk over to the treadmill and start walking, and a few minutes later she gets on the one next to me. There is this woman in there who is about 300 pounds on another treadmill further down. The attractive woman leans over to me and says, "What is that fat bitch doing in here? Shouldn't she be at home eating a Twinkie?" Instead she thought I was gonna laugh cause she did one of those fake laughs. I looked at her and said, "That is ed up that you said that. At least she is in here trying to lose some weight," and I just walked away and got on the treadmill closer to the big woman and told her to keep it up. A year and a half later, the big woman lost over 150 pounds and looks great. Was on my third or fourth date with a guy that I thought I really liked when I was younger. We had a nice dinner and went back to his place where we sat and drank wine for a little bit. We were talking about some heavy stuff and I ended up telling him about how I was arped by a family member and a neighbor when I was very young. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "I can't even imagine how tight you would have been." I got my and got the out of there. Blocked him on every social media platform and never spoke to him again. That guy. Edit. Thanks for all the kind words. I am doing much better now. That was years ago and I'm in a very great relationship with a very supportive and loving person. I never followed up with him, so I'm not sure how he reacted or if he realized what he did said wrong. Truthfully, I don't really care. I just hope he has never hurt anyone or ever said anything of the liking again. Whoa. I'm surprised that my water bottle is still on my bike. I'm homeless in front of a homeless dude who was sitting on a bench. The homeless man then tries to say they aren't all bad people and she scoffs at him. Really lost a lot of respect for that person that day. Like, yeah. There are a lot of Thai homeless people, but can we not kick someone when they are down? This girl who was good looking and popular said if I ever got famous, I would never hug a fat fan. They would be sweaty and gross. I would hate having to be close for a picture too. Now she's fatso. Full circle. You so and so tried to talk to me. It s me off that people think just because they look good they're better than everyone. I was group mom for my daughter's ballet recital group. Another very attractive mom came to sit by me at rehearsal. She looked around the room at the other dance moms and said, "Who's here that I hate?" Talk about a grown-up mean girl. Comma, who's here that I hate? Yourself. Comma, another very attractive mom. Slipped a boast and there, don't think I didn't notice. Till attractive people hate the homeless. Sophomore year of high school, this girl I had the biggest crush on and easily the most beautiful person in the school said, "Why do we even bother educating us? Talking about a girl with Down syndrome who had given me a hug. They should just be euthanized." I've never read a book, she said it like she was bragging. My very attractive ex said that our pay is only valid if it happens to a hot girl. If they're unattractive, they should be grateful anyone would even want to touch them. He also said if a hot girl is our pet and he knows about it, she's instantly less attractive. I'm prick. I am Hispanic. Both my parents are from Mexico, and I currently work in SoCal. I don't look Hispanic and I don't bring up my race very often. If you don't know any better, I am just some white guy, minus my Mexican last name. I work with this really cute redhead and I took her out on a date. It was going awesome until she brought up how much she hates Hispanics and how they should all stay in Mexico. Date didn't last long. I left her with the check for dinner and stranded with no ride home because I was so mad. It was my friend's birthday and some of her hot friends came in from New Jersey. We were exiting a restaurant and this old homeless guy politely asks for some change and this one Jersey girl goes, "Some of us have jobs. You should go get one yourself," in a real nasty tone. The homeless guy replies, "I'm sorry to have bothered you. Have a good night." I was dead. My trust immediately dropped to 0. Hey, are you Neo? Cause you just dodge a bullet. Worked with a very pretty and generally very pleasant woman who said, "I just wish his mom would hurry up and die so he can start focusing on me again." Her boyfriend's mom had cervical cancer and did die. No thanks, with a disgusted look on her face when I tried to get her to sign a petition to save the sharks. But she signed my friends to save the wolves. Let me tell you. 3rd grade me dodge a bullet. Any girl who doesn't wanna save sharks isn't worth your time. Spanish is the language of poor people. No joke. She was stereotype sweet bubbly blonde. Very attractive. If any of my kids ever turn out gay, I will shoot and kill them and bury them in the woods. Then acted all appalled when a guy told her I don't even want kids. If my wife gets pregnant, I'm just gonna use a coat hanger to turn her uterus into a blender. He justified his statement with, "At least I'm killing them before they experience life." You are not important. I am important. Went on a blind date with a guy when I was 16. He was nice the whole time. I thought it went well. Talked to the guy who set us up. Date said that I had a nice rack but should never smile in public again. I had crooked teeth that my parents never bothered to correct with braces. That one stung. He's now some loser not paying child support and I'm a wife and mom in a nice home. Who has nice straight teeth now? I also never stopped smiling. Like anyone would believe I would let your dick anywhere near me. You fat, disgusting pig. Female rapist the night she and her brother almost killed me. Ending a 3-year relationship. Reading is stupid. Not an ugly comment. But women who act like learning is dumb just appear less attractive to me. Why can't the homeless people just go away? I don't want to see that when I go to the park. Oh. Sorry, princess. I didn't realize their weird desire to exist was interfering with your sitting on a bench scrolling through Instagram. What's bigger? 1,000 or 1,000,000? They were completely serious. I wish your suicide attempt succeeded so I would have never had to meet you. Said by my ex-girlfriend who met me about a month after I attempted and came extremely close to succeeding. Suicide and was a big part of me making it through that very dark time in my life. Ironically, this helped me get over her, as it really drove home how much she had changed and how I was holding on to memories of a person that no longer exists. This was a few weeks ago. You look like Toby Flenderson. Shouldn't there be less ugly people since those are the ones that die alone? That is hideous. She meant fewer. I've had a co-worker imply that my company gave a lucrative promotion to another woman because of her peasant looks and poor upbringing, so it look good for the company. No, you piece of... She got it because she worked hard, while you got this job because your father was the head of the division. Beautiful people make ugly children. In case they're beautiful. Sweetheart, you're like an hourly employee. There's always someone twice as pretty. Dickishness aside. This is just generally a terrible burn because it's so overcomplicated. I had to read to like 3 times for it to fully register. A sick comeback is supposed to be concise. I don't date S. Said by a very young woman I worked with. I'd rarely heard that word used before. And never by someone as young as she was. I hadn't had any idea she was racist. Either. A girl I had just been introduced to said flat to my face. EWW a ginger. Girl I was seeing for a few weeks was criticizing mental health issues as being fake. And that people with them are just weak. This was also someone who believed in energy crystals and many conspiracy theories. I mentioned that my brother had dealt with many mental issues in the past. Such a self-harm and severe depression. To which he scoffed and insinuated that he is just weak and needs to pull his head out of his ass. Along with some other horrible remarks I can't remember exactly. I contemplated punching her in the face. That she was an anonymous coach on an internet forum for anorexia. She herself did not have an eating disorder, but she would encourage people struggling with anorexia to continue in their struggle. Coached them on how to cut calories so their bodies could further deteriorate and become emaciated. And belittled them when they fell off the wagon, so to speak. I once heard a woman say, "If I had as many dicks sticking out of me as I've had put in me, I'd look like a porcupine." That's actually hilarious. I was making small talk with a coworker and asked her if she had ever read one of my favorite authors. She looked at me like I had said something offensive and said, "Oh no, I don't read. That's for ugly girls." Bad enough to have this attitude, but even worse to say it to another woman's face. Damn, this is going to get buried, but one of the girls in my cohort is pretty much perfect. 10/10 for sure. When I was getting to know her, I noticed her phone background was a picture of her and her boyfriend. She saw me looking and she said, "OMG, that's my boyfriend. I know. He's ugly. But I only date ugly guys because I know they won't leave me." It's not only ugly of her to say, I actually thought he was decent BTW. But I realized afterward that I put way too much importance on my own physical appearance. I used to think that if I were thinner, if my nose wasn't weird, if my chin wasn't big, etc, that life would be easier. I couldn't shake this thought until I heard her say that she's miserable and self-conscious all the time and she's as good as they get. I no longer get self-conscious and I'm actually kind of happy with how I look now. My beautiful GF and fiance at the time, I don't want to take care of someone. This just isn't what I planned for my life. I had fallen very ill and almost died a couple times. I was in and out of hospital for several weeks. I'm okay now as my condition is managed. But I'll never forget that. Good thing we didn't save ours. In sickness and in health. Ugh, I swear ed people are stupid. Sometimes I swear there's something seriously wrong with them. Size, I have a special needs older brother. And anytime I hear someone say something along the lines of that, my respect and faith in humanity drops to the negatives. You are scum. No matter how physically attractive you may be. When you say something like that, you are disgusting to look at. Your looks no longer qualify you as a decent human being. I may be a bit biased because I've seen the struggles my brother has gone through. But you don't need to have a special needs relative to act and think like a decent and compassionate human being. Empathy is real. Truly heartbreaking when people like that think that their looks are enough. I'm glad God gave you cancer so I can watch you die a slow and painful death. This was from the mother of my children. I believe Hitler was right. Good riddance. Recently engaged co-worker was shamelessly flirting with the boss. Another co-worker said to her, "Aren't you engaged? Like, why are you hardcore flirting with Tom?" Not verbatim, but the flirter basically said, "Look at all this," she said, gesturing to herself. "Do you think fiance could walk away from all this? His short dumbass is lucky to have me. I do what I want and he deals with it. I'm the hottest chick he's ever been with." Meanwhile, her hand sparkles with a brand new 2-carat princess cut solitaire on platinum. Too Short warned us long ago that bitches ain't. I need a smoke. Hot or not in 4 words. Depends. Tobacco? Weed? Salvia? DMT? Details, bro. They are important. Was in Spanish class in HS. Teacher had assigned us to list things for God knows what. Girl A kept insisting her nation's dish. And Girl B kept ignoring her. Finally Girl B said, "OMG. Nobody cares about your food or your country." Girl A was Honduran. Still remember that after 9 years.